Okay, we're live. It's MakerCast episode 41, hosted by me, Atomic14. So, who's on the show today? Who are the stars? Oh, hang on. Let's talk about MakerCast. I've got my slide deck. I'm not even following it. So, what is MakerCast? MakerCast is a show that hops from channel to channel, showcasting different makers on YouTube, letting them show off the projects they're working on, and giving you a chance to sample someone different. So, on today's show, what is the first rule of MakerCast? It's really important that you really must try and tell as many people as possible about it. It's rather fun, and the more people you tell, the better.
Say that twice, please.
Right then. So, finally, who's on the show? It's the stars. So, we've got Bradán Lane. He'll be showing us some snake charming today. We've got the electronic engineer. He'll be providing an electrifying experience. We've got Darko. He's got a new robotic companion to show us. And of course, there's your host, myself. I've got a few things to show you as well. And then finally, we'll have a quiz. So let's get on with the show. I'll remove my slightly dodgy slide deck. And I think we'll start with, we actually discussed who's going to start. Does anyone not want to start?
No.
Who would like to start?
I just broke something.
Okay, Braden's not starting. Mark, would you like to start?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, let's make Mark the star of the show.
Actually, there are two projects I want to show you. The one I already published is this twin audio visualizer. And it's basically built around a Teensy, which is here, and an audio board. And it's actually the audio board that I'm most interested in. It's a Teensy audio board, and it uses a chip with a number SGTL5000. And that's really an amazing audio chip. It's actually so fast that I'm considering to use it on the ESP32 as well. So I want to migrate it. And the reason why, well, I can show you when I plug it in. Actually has two displays, and the one on this side, that's my left side.
Nice.
There's actually a VU meter. It's nothing special. Now I turn on the microphone. And on the other display, you see spectrum analyzer, and you can see how fast this response is. And you can do this up to 68 channels in stereo. Together with these two, that's 140 channels. And this is real time. So that's how fast it is. And the speed is not due to the Teensy, because the Teensy is not really that much faster than the ESP, I think. But it's actually the audio chip, because it has an onboard analyzer, and it does all the analysis for me. It's also an MP3 player and encoder. It's actually, I think it's a chip that's commonly used in older cell phones. And when I designed the PCB for it, actually, I was planning to get rid of the audio board and just implement it on the backplane by putting the chip there. And I made the whole design, and then I run into a problem we sooner or later all encounter, and that's a chip shortage. So I designed the PCB, and I wasn't able to get it assembled because no chips available whatsoever. So that's why I put back the audio board, because those are still available for now, and I will just save the other design for a later release. So that's what I've been up to, and my plan is to take this audio board, or at least the chip, and implement it with the ESP32, simply because the ESP32 is so much cheaper than the Teensy board. And I want to implement it to this one as well, because this is just a simple Arduino. But with this chip, I have the possibility to increase the number of channels up to, well, 140 if you want. There's a lot of acrylic tiles. So we'll see about that. And another project I've been working on, that is actually this one. It's not that special. It's a VU meter. But the thing about it is the tubes, because they really look like Nixie tubes, in9 tubes.
Yeah, that's
and that's not the case, actually. I will show them close up in a minute. because the Nixie Cube will not be able to show you all these colors. And basically what I did, well, this is a Nixie Cube. This is an inline tube, and it can show you an orange color. And it's not really big. If you want to build something like a spectrum analyzer, like this one, you need something bigger. So in comparison, this is a test tube from a laboratory. It's from glass. It's not that special, but it's a lot bigger. So what I did, I designed a small PCB like this. It looks like the famous LED strips with the WS2812, I think. The difference is there are more LEDs on it. Even I think the LED strip with most LEDs is 140 LEDs per meter. This is even more. And I put a little connector on it. I had to solder all the LEDs all myself because for this small PCB, there's no assembly service unless you panelize them. And that was, for this time being, was not necessary. And then I just basically, I put it in the tube and I put a diffuser for it. And to make it look more like a Nixie tube, I actually, my wife is killing me now, I destroyed our screen door. So I got the maze from the screen door and I put it in there. Let me just take out the tube.
What's that Nixie tube you showed originally? Is that an original old one, or is that a new one?
Yeah, that's an original old one, an in 9.
Right.
It's called, and this one is this is the one I replicated. So the maze is just there for decoration. It has no function, of course, because there are just LEDs inside, but it gives this nostalgic look. Of course, it's as a VU meter. Let me see if I can do this without getting you a copyright flag. So I will just mute the audio.
Well, we could sing if that helps.
No, it's okay. There's no audio.
That's normally the reaction.
It just moves like except there is a peak that stays floating. You also cannot do that with an Nixie tube.
That looks really cool. That's amazing.
Yeah. And my plan is actually, I'm already building, because I'm finishing up this video as we speak, but editing takes some time. I already started the analyzer in the same design, so I'm up for building some tubes and have to solder 140 LEDs because I have to turn all these into tubes and then put them on there. So I will be working on a kind of steampunk look analyzer for the next few weeks.
Yeah, that's my jam.
What I've been, that's really what I've been doing and what I'm up to. And that's all I got to show today.
Nice, brilliant. I love the tubes. I mean, they are very cool. They look.
Just move the camera because it's so weird that I keep looking at the screen while the camera is on the other side.
Will you be putting those tubes up on Tindy or anything, or selling them, or are they just for you?
Well, it's open source, of course, and because that's one of my rules. Everything I publish, I want it to be open source. I do sell the PCBs, but you could replace them with the LED strips if you're pleased with a lower density. That could work. Mm-hmm. But I will make them available. And the electronic itself is just an ESP32. It's not that spectacular. It's an ESP32, and it has potentiometers and a few switches for some modes.
Cool. And did you?
The analyzer is a different thing. This will be this will have a large PCB, which will be on Tindy, of course.
Someone's asking, how did you get the metallic caps into the test tubes? Are they plated?
I didn't. Actually, I didn't. I spray coated it.
That's amazing. It looks really
good. I took some copper spray and painted it on the outside.
Nice. So basically, you're weathering your test tubes to make them look old. And
yeah.
I like it. That is really nice. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, Mark. Dave, we really are keeping on schedule. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm actually showing a clock.
Nice. I had a timer going right now, so yeah, you had 8 minutes. Wonderful. So I'm starting my timer now.
Okay, so Dave,
And-
it's over to you. Let me make you the main person.
Yes, I was just inspired to look for something very old that I worked on at one point, and I'm still scrolling on my pages site on Hackaday. It's like, what did I post there? It's so many things, and just wanted to say that I really like LEDs and jars and glass tubes and stuff. So I did some projects myself, the
Oh,
Nixie tube.
nice.
Or the fake Nixie tubes with LEDs, and yeah, I had a phase where oh wow, this is home. I have no idea what I did there. Anyways, I'm giving this like, is it this? No, it's not.
It's amazing the
Almost.
projects we have that we've done in the past that
Yeah,
and then you look at them and you think, I have no idea how that worked or who built that. And then when you look at the code, some of the code is even worse, where it's just kind of, who wrote this rubbish? This is terrible. What were they thinking?
look at this random person with the same interests that I have. Oh wait, that's me.
I've even found when I've been Googling questions, I found my own answers.
Which is kind of good because then you're answering yourself, so there's no harm in that, I guess. Okay, I really can't find it. This is boring. I'm just scrolling stuff. Yeah, so let me just quickly swap again. And to answer the first question that I had, even though I wasn't talking, yes, I bleached my hair. It was just a thing that I thought, let's try it. Let's see how it looks.
Why not? Will you go pink or green or anything? Or
Yeah, my niece was like, okay, you should now make it pink. But I tried purpling it because it was very orange in the beginning, and the purple just added pink to it, which was okay. But then it washed out, so I wasn't really going after that anymore. Anyways, yeah, that was interesting to do. I think only my grandma had like some reservations, but
yeah.
Anyways, projects. I mean, it's a project. Yourself should be a project of yourself. So
I think so. Yes.
But yeah, I'm currently in America, so that's why there's still daylight here, and this means that I could only bring 1 or 2 projects with me. I could probably have brought more of the smaller stuff. Anyways, excuses. So one of the things that I brought with me is this little robot.
Nice.
And I probably still have to work a lot on this and have so many revisions to do. There was one night where I was spending, I think, 4 hours. I was up till 4 in the morning to get all these details correctly, or I mean, as close to screen accurate as you can get without taking any screenshots of Disney anymore, because that doesn't work. And you're just trying to find some screenshots that are, well, you can work from it, but they're very low resolution. Anyways, I tried my best there and spent way too much time working on this instead of the electronics. But I had a plan to work on the I said myself, okay, you definitely want the wings to move, and there's a little flaw. I still have to design the hinges so it actually works, but the hinges are so big that they are resting on the servo mount, so they're really close up, and this is only the 4th or 5th iteration of the shell. So it's all a bit fiddly. And also, when I redesigned this in the night, the angle of the wings don't match the angle of the servos anymore. So I have to at least reprint this version again where I fix the servos. And since I moved the servos, everything shifted. So I'm not sure if everything fits back in again. So yeah, this is a little
so you're 3D printing the shell as well. So that's something you're printing.
Yes. And this, I mean, if you print it like this, you don't really get a good resolution on the top. So what I did was I cut it in half and then just printed it like this.
Interesting. Yeah.
So you got
about see the seam, but it's not.
Good enough. Details, but it gets a bit choppy on the top. But better than printing it like this.
Yeah.
Not faster, but definitely more resolution.
Mm.
And yeah, so the other thing that I wanted to have is that it can rotate in your hand.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And so that's the third servo in the middle one.
Uh-huh.
And also there are cutouts, so the servo thingies can go back in the case. And I wanted to be able to wiggle in your hand, so you can use the same servo for the wings, also for moving in your hand.
Nice.
And
once I fly.
Yeah, there's somebody else on Twitter, Sulfuroid, who's working on a flying version.
Really?
For me, this is just the prop thing that you hold in your hand. It's yeah, I think that's enough on my plate already. And yeah, I probably have some power left. Yes. So there's also a display on it. That's a 240 by 240 pixel round OLED thingy.
Nice.
There's a bunch of letters that you could Google it with, but yeah, I think you probably know what I mean. And then there's this NeoPixel that can shine through this little glass thingy.
Yeah. And will it do a holographic projector? Will that be part of the build?
Yeah, I mean, if you do a little cutout and then if you can live with the shapes of layer, then that could work. But yeah, other than that, I'm just happy with moving wings and rotation and maybe wiggling in your hand, if that works.
Amazing, yeah. How long do you think? How far off finishing are you? Do you think?
Between 1 and 3 months, I guess. I have no idea. I still have to work out the animation for the eye and yeah, just generic animations running on them. That takes a bit, probably. Maybe it's just an hour and then everything in the code works to my liking, but then I still have to find some time to work on the mechanical bits. But,
yeah. And will you put the designs up on are they open source or on GitHub? Or will you be team leading it?
Yeah, so once I'm happy with
it, take you down.
no. Yeah, it's a triply slope if you want to sell something that's Disney owned. So don't do that. I might share the design files, but if you want to print a Lola for yourself, then you can definitely do that already because there are plenty of files out there.
Yeah.
I've seen one where you can put in your fingers and then you can move the wings with some movement, so it looks like it's moving in your hand. That's pretty cool.
Wow, that's great.
And yeah, and the little other thing that I brought here that I can't really use or I'm afraid to start programming on is this little thing here.
Wow. Okay.
That's the IMME messenger.
Those are hard to come by. Very hard to come by.
Well, unless you don't care if you that you pay $200 to $300 for it, or euros, vice versa. Now, it's But I was lucky enough to find one in Spain for 60 euros about.
There you go.
And yesterday I was just browsing for fun and stumbled over a website I've never seen before, and somebody was selling one on there, so I might have another one coming here. So I got two, yay! Hey. But when you want to start programming them, you always stumble over this sentence where it says, just connect your good fed to it. And a good fed is something you can't really buy anymore. This is a JTAG debugger tool that you can connect stuff to, and then you can also bitbang I2C and SPI with it. But well, you can't really get it anymore. The chip on itself costs 17 euros now, when you can find it, because chip shortage, of course. And yeah, so if you can't really buy one, you probably just think, oh, well, I can quickly start KiCad. And yeah, so this is after I think 2 days of designing, because I got the chip, but they also used the FTDI serial converter and used the voltage converter. Yep, that's my timer. Anyways, they use the voltage converter of this and also USB Mini. So I thought, okay, I might slap on some new parts and some good parts, and then I can power much more with that and debug and start programming this. So yeah, that's my month so far. All right, cool.
Great. Okay, well, should we try and keep to the timer then? We can be very relaxed about this. We don't need to stick to the timer. But let's,
It'll be a first.
We can stick to the timer. I said everything that I wanted, so I'm happy about this.
Stay on target. That's the key. Okay, Braden, are you ready to take your turn on the show?
Yeah.
Fix everything.
Well, no, I continue to break things, but that's actually part of my job description, I think, these days. So I started playing around with a couple of, actually, it's good that David's on this call, because the clock you see in front of you is actually an offshoot of a challenge that happened almost 2 years ago now on Brian's channel. So we got on this conversation about creating a giant size 7-segment display. And I built one that was just under 3 meters tall. But if you're going to have a 7-segment, you have to have a dot in the lower corner. And so I created a dot in the lower corner, and it was converting from English to metric again. It was 14 inches across. So that's 35 centimeters across. And it was kind of cool, but it wasn't really functional. And I kind of thought that it'd be kind of neat if I could get that dot onto my desktop. So this version is about 100 millimeters across, 10 centimeters across. And I then said, well, it'd be nice if this were easily customizable by other people. And so instead of making it only run like an Arduino, it's got an ESP32 on the back. I'll show you in a moment. But instead of running just sort of, the Arduino IDE and stuff, I chose an ESP32 S2 that is already approved for running CircuitPython. So this is actually running CircuitPython, which makes it really easy for people to change code. And it comes with I provide a library that gives you all sort of the timing related functions for it. Now I do keep messing up my computer. Let's see if this works. But it can run any CircuitPython. So this is actually an Adafruit demo. I'm going to take the diffuser off of it for a moment. So now you can actually see the individual LEDs. There's 240 LEDs that make up the outer ring. There's another 70 LEDs in the middle as a pair of 5x7s. And it's got a pair of buttons at the top. And it also has a set of jumpers. So if you want to put like really big arcade buttons on it and put this in a case, you could do that too.
It's really nice.
Yeah. And let's see. I've got a couple other really quick demos I can do here.
And did you hand solder these as well?
Oh God, no. With 310, what are they? They're the 2 millimeter by 2 millimeter LEDs. I'm not going any smaller than that at the moment. But let me see. There's another demo really quick. Actually, let me see which one it is. There's a couple of useful ones, and all the code is open source and it's out on GitLab. And so when somebody gets one of these, they get the URL to everything, and it's also, I've been tweeting about it quite a bit. Let's see. One of the interesting ones I created is a chess timer. So that's the clock with the 2 buttons on top. And so you set your time, like for instance, a chess match might be 20 minutes per player. And when one player hits a button, it'll start counting. And then when they're done, it starts the other player's clock, and it goes back and forth. You normally see it as 2 dials on an analog, but I did it as a digital version here. And then because it's got 5x7 in here, you can actually do, a full font of characters and numbers. So there's, I think I've got a little glyph test here. Let's see if this is correct. We'll find out in a second. Yeah, so, a whole set of glyphs are available. The full library is available. You can go up and down and stuff like that. And so now if I swing the light over here, hopefully, and turn my video gain up a little bit, I can actually show you the internals of this. Let's see if this works. There we go. So let me unplug it. So you can kind of get an idea of the size of it here. And like I said, this started out as a 35 centimeters circle. And it didn't have the section in the middle. No, a machine places all the parts on this. There's 400 parts on this board, as you see right here, between all the capacitors and a couple of resistors. On the back, there's a little buzzer. There's a little audio amplifier chip on the front. And as I was saying before, there's a pair of buttons here, but then there's also a standard set of headers that you can jump out. And then this is if anybody is interested in doing CircuitPython, this is a really affordable ESP32S2 with a lot of GPIO pins to play with. And so that's the one I'm using there. And so this is the Loomis ring. The other part of that competition is coming back from manufacturing right now, which is, you can get an idea of the size. This is 280 LEDs. It's 7 across by, somebody can do the math real quick. And this represents the 7 across by 40 high. This represents the bars of the original 7-segment display. So I played around by taking the segments off and stacking them all side by side, and I did some really cool animations. And again, I thought, it's kind of big. It's not very useful. Let's make it really small. So this can do animations this way, but then you could also do scrolling text, and there's enough LEDs to do 2 digits, a colon, 2 digits, a colon, and 2 digits. So you can do a clock with it. There's a bunch of things you can do it. And it will use the same ESP32S2 that I've got here. Nice. And so because they're all running CircuitPython, and you can also program them with Arduino, they're really easy for people to get involved and play with and stuff. The other CircuitPython project I created, so what is your max frame rate with so many LEDs? It depends on how many LEDs you're updating each time. And it also depends, with CircuitPython, you're going to be slower. With the Arduino code, I know somebody's doing basically updating every single LED at 60 frames a second. I have a demo that does the clock, and there's what I call a sweep second. So this LED up here updates 60 times a second. So I can update part of the display, but that's an Arduino thing, not a WS2812 problem. I mean, it's a CircuitPython thing. The other project I created, and I originally created it because I needed a controller for my pick and place machine, but it also works great as a controller for a CNC machine. It can be a pad for doing streaming, etc. It's a full numeric keypad. So here it is inside a case. And it can be set up that this ends up being a mouse, and you've got mouse buttons here. If you press this button and move this, it's a scroll wheel. And if you do that, it changes the acceleration of your mouse. And you can reprogram these. They don't have to, you can get just plain keycaps. These are standard keycaps. You can make them set up any way you want. I wanted a numeric set, but like right now, the demo on this thing, you probably can't hear it, is it's just little musical notes. Because I realized that if I did a demo and it was hooked up to my computer as a keypad, I was going to start changing windows. Now, again, I'm using CircuitPython because it makes it really easy for people to do customization on it. And in this case, I'm using the Raspberry Pi Pico, which is incredibly inexpensive. That's a $4 board. So all that capability is for $4. And then it's standard MX keys. And this is the joystick off of a standard game controller like an Xbox. And again, it's got a little OLED display, and you can set up the text. I always set this up so that it shows me what these keys are. And it also has a little buzzer speaker right there. So I've been specifically choosing CircuitPython for these projects because they're targeted at other people doing customization on them. And so it's easier for them to have CircuitPython as an option as opposed to forcing them into the Arduino IDE. But they're welcome to do the Arduino IDE as well, because one's a Raspberry Pi Pico and the other one is an ESP32, which are both easy to do.
Nice. That's really cool.
And,
Have you had any problems with the chip shortage? Have you LEDs in plentiful supply, so you can get LEDs no problem? Or,
the LEDs, I've purchased at this point 20,000. I'm about halfway through those. And surprisingly enough, let me move this over so it's in a little better light. This ESP32S2 is readily available, this whole board. And actually, I was surprised the price of the board's actually gone down in the past 2 months.
Interesting. Okay.
And so that's why I chose that one. Plus, it has a lot of pins, and so I use a handful of them. Especially on this one, I needed a bunch of pins, but I also leave a bunch of pins for the end user. So if they want to do some customization or add some functionality, they can do that. And so,
what ESP32 chip did they recently cancel? Was it the S2 or was it the S3? One of them was buggy and.
Well, the S3 has had some issues, but I haven't seen that it's been. I think there's versions of them. Like there's multiple instances of an S3 chip, and so I don't know which one has been affected lately. Okay. I have some S3s on another project that I'm working on. But
what's the name of that breakout board? What's the purple one you're using? Does it have a name, or is that a kind of generic?
So I think it's called the ESP32S2 Mini.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest. The first batch I paid $4 a piece for. I'm now paying $3 a piece for them. They're incredibly inexpensive. I'm stunned. Crazy. I'm stunned. Yeah. I mean, I'm paying more for the this little OLED now display than I am for that whole board.
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, so CircuitPython was specifically because I wanted these to be easy to be configured and customized by end users. And it's been a big help to make that, because, you can change code. If you're at all familiar with CircuitPython, literally you just copy a file to, when you plug one of these devices in, it shows up as a little device drive, a little USB drive, and you literally just drag and drop or copy your code.py file to it, and it immediately restarts with the new code.
Yeah, nice. All right. That was a 10-minute timer. Dave's cracking the whip.
Yep.
I'll start.
Accidentally.
That's all right. I knew I was at the edge anyways.
Okay, so what have I been up to? Well, actually, interestingly, you guys just mentioned some 7-segment LEDs. So I've been messing around with some 7-segment LEDs as well. So let me just try and power this up. And let's see if it starts up. So they look much brighter on the actual camera, because this camera's not got very good, doesn't really handle bright lights. But these are LED filaments. Each one's about kind of, I think it's 69 millimeters. So not quite as big as the ones you made.
Nice.
They work really nicely. So I started off with this, let me try and go on the boards. Yeah. So the first board I made was this very big PCB. And the problem with that is it's not that massive, but it gets quite expensive when you start making big PCBs. Especially
how much did you pay for it?
I can't actually remember what it cost. It wasn't the unusual $5 though that you get sort of the small ones. And there's loads of wasted space. So there's big blank spaces. And I feel like some touch buttons, but it was kind of sort of seemed a bit bonkers. So I made these sort of more modular ones, which are a lot smaller. But and they were much cheaper. But then all the connectors I think added up to probably more than the boards cost plus shipping. Once you start buying loads of connectors and ribbon cables and screw terminals, it gets a bit silly. But it does mean I can now put more of them together. So I've got more PCBs on order. These kind of X kind of shape boards. I've got another 10 of them on order. So I will daisy chain another kind of 6 boards on the end and have quite a large display. So that was quite fun and interesting. It does draw an awful lot of current though. I'm not doing any multiplexing, so it's just driving the segments all at once with these really neat power shift registers. The ones I've currently got allegedly can sync 350 milliamps per channel, and there's 8 channels on each chip. So in theory, you can sync an awful lot of current through one tiny little chip. So I can run all the LEDs at once, but with these four digits of all the segments lit, that's about 6.2 amps or something. And if I have 10 of them, it's going to be about 16 amps. The power supply I've got is quite beefy. I think it goes up to 10 amps, so that might be okay. I can power it from both ends, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe I might have made the wrong choice with lighting more LEDs at once.
So can you see them or read them at this brightness, or?
Well, it's much less bright when you look at it in person. So the camera is getting slightly swamped and it's not adjusting itself very well.
Okay.
So they are readable. I mean, you wouldn't want to look at them for too long. That's for sure. So it's definitely not a thing you'd stare at. I mean, I think these filaments are really aimed at kind of light bulbs and replacement light bulbs. So they are slightly too bright. So I might swap my resistors for slightly higher value ones and turn it down slightly, or just PWM the enable signal so that it's not quite as bright. I kind of thought it'd be nice to have it as bright as possible when I was building it. And then when I built it and turned it on, I realized that was probably a bit silly. And maybe going for maximum brightness wasn't the right thing. But,
so Chris, we're looking at a text ticker, right? It's not like a frame rate problem.
Yeah, I mean, it should be saying MakerCast. And
yeah, okay.
Saying, like, subscribe, bell. But I mean, the problem is it's a 7-segment font, so it's hard. You have to use your imagination to actually read the words. It's definitely not easy to read. Maybe I'll have some more. Maybe build some. Put some more segments in going across so that you can do more interesting text. But that's the fun with the 7-segment display, which I've been spending an inordinate amount of time doing. And it's gone through several mistakes where I ordered the wrong parts and the wrong chips, which was slightly confusing.
Do you have like any jam jars in mind that you want to put over it? Or?
Yeah, I've certainly been thinking about that. Some nice polished wood and some jam jars. I think would make these really nice. So it's kind of got slightly out of hand now. And
I mean,
one of those projects where you do it and then you think, oh, I should stop doing this at some point. This is a bit silly.
I mean, I was in the same position. When I showed the Nixie Tube thingies with the little jam jars, it started with my mom giving me 4 little jam jars, and then I found out what jam company this is, and then I bought 60 of them because I thought I'm totally gonna sell them, and yeah, I haven't so far. This project is 5 years old, I guess. So I just have them in a drawer, 60 empty glasses of marmalade or jam. But yeah, they were tasty.
I've got a bag full of 30 of these LED filaments that I bought thinking, I'll make lots of these. Maybe I'll make a big calculator. Maybe I'll do that. Now I've got a big box full of bits and bobs that I'm starting to think I should move on to another project. But I'm okay with it. It's kind of fun. Then the other thing I've been playing around with, let me bring this up, is I've been watching a lot of Big Clive videos and seeing him salvage lithium polymer cells. And I've been wandering around, keeping my eyes peeled, and I finally managed to score a couple of little cells. So I found this one I thought might have been run over. So this one was a bit, I thought it was squashed to begin with, but I think they actually come in this shape. I and it does hold a charge and it charges up, and it's a 550 milliamp hour cell. This other one that seems in slightly better condition, this actually had its container and looked okay. This one's a 500 milliamp hour. And so I brought this this battery tester to try them out and just see how well they work. So this one's slightly flat, but this battery tester works quite well. And then I started thinking, well, actually, I wonder what this battery tester is actually doing. And I thought, all it's really doing is measuring the voltage and discharging it through this big power resistor. And I've got a bunch of ESP32s with displays. That's got an ADC. So then I thought, well, I'll just build my own. So now I've got my own battery tester. Obviously, with ESP32 and its terribly inaccurate ADC, this produces an approximate result, but it's probably good enough for testing batteries. And it's quite a fun little circuit to build. So all it's got is a voltage divider feeding the ADC, because obviously the ESP32 is a 3.3 volt device. So I'm just halving the voltage, and then there's a power MOSFET that turns on this transistor and drains the battery. They do get quite warm after a while, which is quite fun. But yeah, so that's a interesting battery finds. Initially, I just put them in one of Big Clive's metal dishes just in case it blew up. But so far, there have been no fires, and they seem to charge and hold their charge. So if you find any devices abandoned on the street, there's a lot of them nowadays because they're all disposable, then you can pick up some really nice cells. Obviously, there's no battery protection on these, so I have went on AliExpress and bought a bunch of these battery protection PCBs that you can just solder onto the connectors. So I might make these batteries safe so I can use them in more projects. I've got a charger PCB that does have battery protection on it, but I kind of like to use the cells in random projects. So I'll try and make them a bit safer. And hopefully I'll find some more. I've only found 2 so far, which is disappointing. Other people seem to find them all the time. But I think it's a bit like finding money in the street. Some people are very lucky. Other people just don't find any. So, but yeah, if you
I
find
haven't seen any in.
Really? I've only found 2. And I thought it was going to be one of those things where you find one and you start finding them all the time. But
Right.
Yeah, I've only found 2 so far. So I'm keeping my eyes
I'm
out.
not sure if they're even legal in Germany. I think they are, but I haven't seen any on the street laying around.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, it's terrible that they're disposable devices.
It is. And scary. Yeah. It's like a tiny bomb, basically, laying on the street.
I mean, when I was cutting all the bits off this one, I mean, it was absolutely disgusting. But I cut through the 2 wires that connected to the atomizer, and it puffed out a whole bunch of smoke. And I really thought that I'd blown up the cell, and I was going to have to run out of the house. But fortunately, it was just its final sort of death throes of blowing out some smoke as I chopped it off. But yeah, they are pretty horrible to deal with. So you should wear gloves.
Don't bring it to the airport when you fly.
Don't bring it to the airport when you fly. I mean, they're great little cells though. So far they've worked.
I mean, nobody flinched when I brought this in, and there's a LiPo in there. So
yeah, I think it's fine nowadays, isn't it? And your phone's got batteries in. Everyone carries their phone. So it's just probably all the random wires might scare the airport more than that.
Yeah.
So yes, that's what I've been up to. Lots of fun with lead filaments and messing around with batteries and trying not to blow myself up. So it's been entertaining.
There you go, Dave. I got a question for you. Do you know what frequency those IMEs messaging devices work on?
There's a CC1110 in there, and that can talk, I think, from 200. Yeah, but also it's a big range around 433, and then also 815, and I think 315 as well. So you can get a spectrum analyzer on a really big broadband thing going. So yeah, it's a pretty decent tool. And there was a guy named Sammy Kamkar who did a Sesame open thingy for garage doors that have this password that sticks that way. So it was just sending a line of numbers that was designed so that he can just send it, and then there's so much permutation in there that he can open the any garage door in 15 seconds, I think, with this little pink pager.
Oh, funny.
And
there you go.
yeah, so whenever I got my good fed together and I still find it interesting enough, then I hopefully can get into programming something for it. And I mean, it would be nice to adapt a recent hack with those 433 megahertz devices to get the Tesla charging ports open with it, because you can just use an $1 Arduino and the $1 433 megahertz thing, and then just send out this command, and it works for all the Teslas apparently, because they didn't care enough, and the charging adapter just sends it, and whatever is close opens its ports. So I don't know much more about it. I don't know if it works when the car is driving. I don't know if it works when it just sits there on a signal on a traffic light. So
the only demo I've seen of that is I don't know if people have seen the Flipper One. It was a Kickstarter or crowd supply something, and now there's thousands of them out in the wild. But it can send data messages on various frequencies, and somebody sat around and basically just started aiming it at Tesla's opening up all the power charging ports. I was asking because in the United States, one of the things that's prolific on eBay are these little Smart Response XE devices. And they're running the ATmega 128 RFA 1 chip, which the only real claim to fame on it, other than it being 128K of flash memory, is it's got a 2.4 gigahertz transceiver built into it. And so I ended up writing a complete display library test suite for the whole thing, and posted it out. And then I built an Enigma machine into these.
Nice.
So if you configure two of them with the same router settings and ring values and et cetera, you send messages back and forth between two devices over the 2.4 gigahertz transceiver. And so these are really easy to get in the United States. The only problem is almost all the listings on eBay for these where you can get them, they say, was working when removed from service. Well, that was 2011 or 2012, and in most cases they left the batteries in them 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I bought a lot of these knowing that I was going to have a fair number of failures. But to Dave's point about having 60 glass jars, I think when I got truly carried away, I had 500 of these devices in a pile.
Wow.
And 17% failure rate by the time I was all done fully smoke testing these things. So I ended up with like 410 or 420 of them.
That's brilliant. I feel like I should have some as well. I'm missing out.
So the nice thing about I was going to say the nice thing about these, I've got one over here that's turn the light over here so we can see it. There we go. So if you take the battery door off, that's all you have to do. There's a 10-pin header right there, and that gives you access to ISP plus 4 additional GPIO pins. And so you don't even have to crack open the case to reprogram these.
Nice. That's brilliant.
Technically the same for this one, but I had to solder on some wires because I thought I can easier work on this. But
so I ended up designing. Actually, I can get rid of this. I ended up designing this little board, which is I think it's not even 20 millimeters across, and it's about that long. And it has these pogo pins in it so that you can just drop one of these in, and then it's got the ISP connectors on it, and then a set of LEDs to those 4 extra GPIO pins. And so I use one of the GPIOs, I bit bang UART out so you can do debugging statements on it and stuff like that. and it's been handy. When I found out I had way too many of these things, I went on eBay and found out what's the going price for them for people who are selling ones at a time. And so I put together a bundle deal that's 2 of these devices fully tested and guaranteed that they're going to work, plus this adapter for $25. And they seem to be really popular. And I think a lot of times people just want this one. This is what they really want is the programming interface adapter. But I'm gradually working my way down. I think I've gone through about 200 of the devices at this point I've sold. So I'm slowly getting rid of my excess inventory.
The things we collect.
Yeah, I know. So
Right. Are we ready for a quiz?
uh-oh.
yeah.
Bring it on.
Okay. So let's have a look. It's the quiz. Brilliant. What's the prize, you may ask? What is the prize? You'll be crowned king or queen of the nerds for the remainder of the show. And the show has approximately 10 to 15 minutes left. So that's it. That's what you get. If you want to play along at home, the answers come after the questions. So you just need to keep note of which questions you got right or wrong and count up. There's only 10 questions. So hopefully this won't be too long and we'll enjoy it. So that's question
Wait,
one.
I have to keep track of things? What?
Yeah, keep track of things.
Oh, geez, I got to write stuff down. Okay.
You can keep a mental account. Someone's already answered the question in the chat window, so ignore the chat window. We'll just be talking about batteries. What voltage should you charge a 3.7 LiPo cell at? Is it 4.2 volts, the meaning of life divided by 10? 3.7 volts, the clue is in the name. 5 volts, the only logical choice. Or 3.3 volts, this is actually the logical choice. So think now, and you've written down your answers. I will tell you what the correct answer is. I think everyone knows this, maybe. So 4.2 volts, and here's a little picture of what happens if you don't do that. Okay, next question. More electronics. Everyone's gone lead-free because we all want to save the planet. But what is SaC302 solder made of? Is it tin, arsenic, and copper? Is it tin, aluminium, and copper? Is it silicon, tin, and cadmium? Or is it tin, silver, and copper? What is SaC302 solder made of? Okay, are we ready? The answer is tin, silver, and copper. So there we go. Everyone should know that as well. Easy questions to start you off. Space. Everyone's trying to get into space. But who went up first? Was it Elon, Branson, or Bezos? Was it Elon? He drove his Tesla into orbit. Was it Branson? He lost his galactic virginity.
Oh.
Or was it Bezos who took prime position? This is getting more tricky.
Well, what's your definition of space?
Yeah.
Don't you start. Isn't it? It's like 50 kilometers, isn't it? That's the official. You're in space if you make it that high. I think that's what they decided the rules were.
Oh god, so many rich people I completely forgot.
Okay, it is Branson. He went into
Okay.
first. By about a week, I think, Bezos followed him in his slightly entertainingly shaped rocket, which I tried to find a nice picture of, but it was all too far away.
I'm thinking of not going with the easy one because that's the wrong answer. Damn.
Another space question. Which of the following spacecraft is furthest from Earth? Is it Voyager 2? Is it Voyager?
Nah.
Voyager 1? Or Vanguard 1? Which one is furthest away? Okay.
I just read this too.
Okay, it is Voyager 1. It's
Yeah.
a tricky question because you think maybe it's a trick question and it's actually Voyager 2, but it is Voyager 1.
I mean,
Wait.
the other one has a head start, but yeah.
If I recall correctly, Voyager 2 is going to pass Voyager 1 sometime in the
Yeah,
not.
right, yeah.
because of the way it ended up with a slingshot. So even though it was later, it's
interesting.
It's moving faster at this point in its life.
Cool. So we all know his name, but what was the name of his ship?
Oh, I know that.
Know his name. Gone! So was it the Santa Maria? Was it the Botany Bay? Was it Nautilus? Or was it the NSEA Protector?
I feel like D is an inside joke that I could get.
There is an inside joke on D, yes. Okay, the answer is the Botany Bay. That was his ship. Although this ship that's shown in the video is the one he stole from someone else. So that's Botany Bay. Okay. Oops, lost me. Okay. Who said the following? The odds against us and the situation. No, the odds are against us and the situation is grim. Was it Scotty, Kirk, Bones, or Spock? Who said the odds are against us and the situation is grim? Okay, you ready? The answer is Kirk.
Okay.
What happened, Mark? You didn't put Spock, did you?
No, he picked Scotty.
Scotty.
No, there would have been the politically correct curse in there if it had been Scotty.
Yeah.
Damn it, Jim! I'm a doctor.
Hmm.
Okay, famous geeks. Which famous physicist coined the term photon for particles of light? Was it Albert Einstein, Gilbert Newton-Lewis, Isaac Newton, or Enrico Fermi?
Yeah, these are getting tough.
Okay, you ready? Have you made your guess? It was Gilbert Newton-Lewis. Apparently, he's the one who invented photon. I think Albert Einstein proposed it, but Newton named it. Okay. History. What was the original price of the Apple I computer? Was it $500? Was it $99.99? $666.66? Or $1,000? The original price of the Apple I computer at retail.
Was that including the monitor?
I think it was just the PCB.
I actually think you're right. I don't even think it had a case at that point. I think it literally was the keyboard connected to the main board.
Oh, so somebody else made that wooden case there.
Someone else made the case, yeah. These go for a lot of money nowadays. If you have one in the attic, bring it down and dust it off. Okay, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
It was 666.
What?
Because apparently they liked repeating numbers. That's about 3,500 in today's money. So it's not. It's kind of like a very high-spec PC or an Apple laptop.
Yeah, but it has a case.
Not bad for an ESP.
Okay, computer games. What Atari video game undersold so badly that millions of cartridges were crushed and buried in New Mexico? Was it Rambo, Zarkon's Exodus, Postman, or E.T. the Extraterrestrial? Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
It was, of course, E.T. They dumped it all in Mexico because it was so crap.
Apparently, people now understand it better and it plays better and they have a better idea.
They've fixed all the bugs, haven't they, to make it playable? And
Yeah, I think.
got a renaissance. Okay. Bonus round. As of 2022, how many videos are on YouTube? Is it 100 million?
Yeah, those are mine.
500 million? 800 million? Or 1 billion? How many videos are on YouTube? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
It is actually 800 million.
Oh.
How many you need to watch to catch them all? I think that is the last question. That was the quiz.
Nice.
So, how did we do? Dave, what was your score? Did you lose track?
I lost track a bit, I think, but I think I got 5 points down.
5 points. Mark, what's your score?
I got 4 points right.
4 points. Yeah. Braden, how did you do?
I only got 5.
Tied with Dave. Well, you guys, you get to wear the crown and share it.
Ooh, I'm the queen. You can be the king.
How did the audience do? Oh dear, the audience did pretty badly as well. 3, 5,
-3.
really appalling. Oh dear. Well, next quiz will have to be slightly easier then. I'll assign the quiz mastering to someone else. Next time.
It was definitely a good quiz, though. I enjoyed it.
Thanks. I thought the little videos made it better. Questions maybe not so much. So that's the end of the show. So what should we do now? We can have a little chat.
We're right on the top of the hour.
We are on the hour. We've actually
Great.
dead on time.
Nice.
I think that's down to Dave's timekeeping. That is pretty impressive.
We have to keep that up.
We do have to keep that up. Yes. So
Nice.
unless the audience wants to stick around, we can call it a night and stop. So
Yep.
I can hear people saying stop.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Cool.
It was a great show. I will end the broadcast now.